Okay. So guys, I'm so honored you're taking this time to be with me today. I know your time is really precious, especially your Saturday. So I'm so grateful you're here with me today. Today we are going to be talking about cleansing mental blocks and self-defeating patterns that keep you stuck in your emotional eating. Now, many of you know that one of the most frustrating things for me when I was in the throes of my just food and body struggle and emotional eating was this constant feeling like I was getting in my own way over and over again. It was maddening to me to have these self-defeating, these self-sabotaging patterns take hold again and again. And I see this being so frustrating for other women too. And so as a result, I have studied extensively, both personally and professionally, these self-defeating patterns. I'm really looking forward to sharing more about this with you today. So today we're going to cover the number one reason why you get in your own way. And this is why you get in your own way from finding peace with food and your body and healing your emotional eating. We're also going to be covering how to detox, how to cleanse these self-defeating patterns that don't serve. I'll be offering teachings, and we're actually going to enter some workshop mode today, and we'll be meeting for a little bit longer today, which is a bummer to have such technological difficulties, because today we will be meeting for about 40 minutes. This is a deep dive, these mental blocks, so I have a lot of material planned for us, and then, after that, we'll stay around for 10 or 15 minutes. So, plan for 45 minutes here for sure. This is I have a lot of material planned for you, and I promise it's going to be good. But first, I'd love to start with a joke, right? Springtime. So this joke comes from jokesforus.com. And the joke is, what flowers grow on faces? Tulips. I can hear you all roaring with laughter, just completely cracking up right now. Okay, so in just a few minutes, I'm going to be telling you exactly what you need to do to cleanse old mental blocks. So I want you to grab your pen and paper. I want you to take notes when it feels appropriate. And I'm going to be asking you to write some things down today as we go along. So have those things handy. I've put a lot of work into what we're covering today. And what I want from you and what I need for you is to just be present. And I know I've already asked a lot by being 20 minutes late with technological difficulties. But, just being present today. We're going to do a deep dive. This is what the psychology work, the psychology part of this work entails. So let's just pause for a moment. And you might be here physically, maybe you were on your phone or texting, or you had other, windows open as you were waiting for me and the technological difficulties. Let's just close all that right now. Put your phone aside, close all the other windows on your computer, and just fully arrive here. And I want you to look around your surroundings. Are you comfortable? Do you have the space that will allow you to be present with this work for the next 45 minutes or so? Go ahead and make any adjustments you need and do that now. And then check in with yourself. Why are you here? What brought you here today? I'd love to hear from some of you in the chat box who feel like you would like to share. What brought you here today? Is it that you're exhausted from your emotional eating patterns? Are you so sick and tired of fighting food and fighting your body? Are you here because you want to feel better? You want to feel better in your own skin. You want to feel more peace. You want to feel more comfortable. You want to feel good. Are you here because something inside you knows that you can't continue this battle any longer and something has to change? It's so important for us to stop and acknowledge what we want. We get so caught up in exhaustion. And we don't stop and see what it is we're truly hungry for. So what are you hungry for? Is it the peace Are you hungry for connection? Do you want to be more present in this one short life we've been given? So let's take, 5 really big clearing breaths, and then we're going to dive in. Inhaling and exhaling, maybe even closing your eyes for a moment. Feeling your feet, your legs, your midsection, your arms and your hands, your neck, and your face and your head. Just let go of all expectations of this next 40 minutes or so. And just tell yourself you're going to be here. You're going to be present and coachable. Okay. So some people, yeah, Donica, no problem. That's okay. I'll send out the replay if you need to go. I know we're so late. Yeah, I want to feel better. I can't quite get out of my cycles. I binge and then I restrict and then repeat. I want peace. Exactly. Yeah. We want to feel better. We want to feel at peace. So let's dive in. The truth is that all of us here today have a very unique story when it comes to food and our body and health and nutrition. We all vary in our size and our shape, where we live, our socioeconomic status, the foods that are accessible to us, and so forth. However, there are some things that emotional eaters and women who struggle with food and their body that we all have in common. As someone who guides women out of emotional eating and towards greater peace and towards feeling better, I get to see what these commonalities are. I get to see almost like these threads that run through each and every one of our experiences. And then I get the pleasure to take inventory on what those things are. And in other words, I get to know what the real and good true work is that's being asked of us women in the struggle. And one obvious thing that's being asked of us in the struggle is to look at the food we're feeding ourselves. But here's the thing. Equal to the food you are feeding yourself are the thoughts you are feeding yourself. And if I had to choose, the thoughts that we're feeding ourselves are the most important instrument in changing our relationship to our food and the relationship to our body. Now, I consider she's really excited about a cooking class she's been taking recently. She invites you over this weekend for dinner, and she's raving about this recipe she really wants to cook for you. So the weekend arrives, and you find yourself at her house, sitting down to her table, and this meal she's prepared for you. You take a few bites, and then she turns to you and asks, "What do you think about the meal?" You turn back to her and you say, "It's awful. Actually, it's disgusting." You advise her that she definitely shouldn't quit her day job, and if she ever wants to make it as a chef, she should look into the dog food industry. Okay, that's really brutal, right? Really mean. So consider this other hypothetical. You're at a restaurant and a young girl spills juice on the floor. You turn to her and say condescendingly, "Nice one. Way to go. You're a bit of a mess, don't you think? Are you ever going to learn?" So judgmental, right? This is how you are talking to yourself. These are the thoughts you are feeding yourself. Now, of course, you would never say these things to a friend or to that young girl or to anyone for that matter. And you might not be feeding yourself thoughts like this in all areas of your life, but when it comes to food choices and your body, it's almost a guaranteed battle of self-judgment, critique, shoulds and shouldn'ts, and a ton of guilt and shame. And it's no wonder you feel awful. it's no wonder you feel overwhelmed. And then it's no wonder that you hardly feel at peace. Because if you're speaking to yourself harshly, criticizing yourself in the mirror, analyzing what you didn't do or what you should do or what you shouldn't eat, haven't eaten, or what you should have eaten, all of that inner battling and inner conflict, of course you're going to want to eat for comfort. Anyone would. These self-judgments are why you don't feel peace and why you run to the cupboard seeking comfort. These self-judgments explain why you eat when you aren't hungry to soothe yourself. These self-judgments also explain why you feel like things are never enough and why you feel like you are never enough. But if you believe you are not enough, you will never have enough. You'll never have enough food, thinness, money, houses, cars. And so the number one reason why you get in your own way, it's your self-judgments that have you hitting what feels like brick wall after brick wall. And until you've identified these self-judgments and learned to detox them, cleanse them, in other words, learn to detangle and detach from them, really the truth is no change is possible. You'll just keep in that internal conflict and you'll be seeking comfort through food. So this pattern of negative thinking and it's an increase of comfort eating and emotional eating is really well identified. There are scholarly journals, authors, books identifying these patterns. But what's most important to me is that you see this in your own life, that it starts to make sense for you. And that's what we're going to do next. Okay, but first I want everyone to just check in for a second. Some of you might be going, yeah, okay, this is true. These self-judgments, I'm really hard on myself. Let's give this some attention. Yeah, you're right, okay? Some of you might be going, oh, this self-judgment thing again. Oh, I know this one. I've dealt with this. I know this. I don't really need to hear this again. Some of you might be going, are you kidding? This topic is so not gonna help me with my emotional eating. This is a bunch of hogwash. Okay, so I just want to speak for just a moment to those of you who are feeling resistance right now. Those who are feeling resistance about inquiring about your self-judgments and working with self-judgments, I want you to know that I get it. I had resistance for what felt like forever in this work. I mean, really, it felt like forever. But here's the thing. If you're pushing back and doubting whether this is going to help, you're actively in a judging mind right now. Maybe you're judging this exercise or judging what I have to say or judging your own judgments. Okay. I want you to consider what we do outwardly is what we do inwardly. We can't separate those two. They go hand in hand. So if you're outwardly judging other people or this topic or me or whatever it is, that's a sure sign that your inner judge is alive and well. So I ask that you just commit to sticking with us here. Just keep playing with us. Just keep going. Just stay coachable. Maybe even consider putting on a beginner's mindset where you come at this with an unbiased lens and with fresh new eyes. I encourage all of us to do that. Because I know a lot of us here have done a lot of work. And some of us have done a lot of work on self-judgments. And I promise I have some really great things planned ahead. Okay. So the entire function of self-judgments is to have you feeling like crap. That's its whole goal. Have you feeling like crap, having you feel small, and having you stay stuck in the status quo. I'm loving Sonia's comment about judging your own judgments. Yep. So it has you staying stuck. I mean, let's think back to our friend who was taking cooking classes, right? And your reaction to her. Do you think your reaction to her was motivating? What about the little girl who spilled her juice? How do you think she feels about herself right now with what you said to her? They both feel terrible. And I want want you to think for a moment, do you know of anyone who makes changes when they feel terrible about themselves? Can you think of anyone? I sure can't. I mean, really, the truth is no one does. And that's why these self-judgments are getting in your way. And this is what your emotional eating is trying to show you. Your emotional eating is like a red flag, waving you down and trying to get your attention and showing you that the way you're speaking to yourself is not working, and that it's actually time to step up your game and take real steps to speaking kinder and friendlier to yourself. So in just a moment, we're gonna move into workshop mode. And I'm gonna be walking you through a 3-step process on how to work with these self-judgments so you can stop getting in your own way and start making progress. But, first I would love to just hear from some of you in the chat box. How is all of this landing for you so far? What feels most important? What connections are you making? Any and all observations are welcome. Go ahead and write those in the chat box. I'd really love to hear. This is a big topic. A lot of things can come to the surface, so odds are with what's coming up for you is coming up for somebody else. And there's no right or wrong here. Don't let your self-judgments get in the way of you sharing. Now, I just want to make a quick note that today I'm using the phrase self-judgments. Sometimes people use the phrase inner critic. I use the phrase inner critic a lot. Sometimes I use the phrase food and body critic. Some people use the phrase inner bully or their mean girl. Janine Roth calls it the voice. Sigmund Freud calls it the superego. It's all the same idea. So those of you who are kind of curious and you've done some of this work, I wanted to just make a quick note about that. Okay, I'm hearing people, yeah, judgment is not motivating. I've got lots of judgments to work on. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, so this is huge. I think it's a main barrier to my growth. There's a constant stream of thoughts about how I'm not doing enough, being enough, succeeding enough. Yeah, the enoughness piece here is huge. This is where women house their not enoughness with their food and their body. Yeah. Feeling pretty raw, a little teary. Yep, this is gonna bring up a lot, you guys. This is a deep dive. I'm trying to give you a heads up that we're diving deep, and we're gonna go a little bit deeper with this. So just hang tight. I really wanna make sure you're comfortable. Yeah. Part of me just wants to let go of the self-judgment, but another part replies back because they're believable and they're true. Yeah, they do feel believable. There's no doubt about it. And there's a reason for that, which I'm actually going to explain here. Why do I want to feel like crap? Because it's familiar. Yeah, it's familiar. It's just a neural pathway we get into, and it gets really familiar. And there's ruts that we get into with it. It's really a neurological piece. It's a mindset piece. And it takes practice to create a new way of how we want to feel. Okay, so let's keep moving here. So just a heads up, I'm going to be having you talking to yourself a little bit here in workshop mode, and you're going to feel a little bit like you have a split personality. Okay, but believe me, you do not have a split personality. This is one of the most effective tools that I have used and I have seen working with self-judgments, and trust that this is very normal. If you feel like you have a split personality in this exercise, you're doing it right, and it's really normal. Okay, so let's talk to ourselves. Let's dive in. Right now, I want you to grab your pen and your paper, and I want you to write down 2 criticisms or judgments, kind of the same idea, that you've made of yourself today. Now, the universal rule stands here. The more you put into this, the more you get out of it. So let this be really raw. I'm not going to ask you to share these. These are yours. They're safe in your own company. But do not filter. Let it be raw and let it be real. Maybe, and this is just of today, just 2 criticisms today so far. Maybe you woke up and you saw a messy kitchen and you said, "Oh, I am such a messy person." Maybe you said to yourself, "I am so not going to figure out this food and body thing. Why even go to this gathering?" Maybe you had dinner with friends last night and you said something that felt embarrassing. And you're thinking to yourself, "I cannot believe I said that. I am such a fool." And I guess that's last night. I asked for you to do it today. So yeah, just I guess in the last 24 hours, 2 criticisms that you've made of yourself. And write those 2 down. Don't overthink it, just the first ones that come to mind. So that's step 1, labeling the judgments. Joanna saying the 1-2 punch. So many 1-2 punches here. Yep. And I'm sure that'll come up again. But, so the first step here is we're labeling them. Okay. So you've got your 2 criticisms down. And now the second step is to not merge with the judgments. If you merge with them, you get no progress. Remember, no one makes changes feeling terrible about themselves. You've got to detach from the judgments. Now, how I want you to practice this today is I want you to exchange the I for the you in those 2 criticisms you just wrote. So literally cross out the I and write you. So the example I gave, I'm such a messy person. You would now write on your paper, you are such a messy person. Okay. As if there is another side of you. There's the inner judger talking to you, and then there's the listener. So if the criticism was, I'm never going to figure out this food and body thing, you want to change it to you are never going to figure out this food and body thing. So cross out those I's and make them U's. And imagine that there's that inner judger, and then there's the listener. There's 2 of you, right? We just made you a split personality. There's the judger and there's the listener. So I want you to practice this even more. I want you to write down 2 more criticisms using you. 2 more criticisms that you've done in the last 24 hours. And it might be something like the inner judger saying, you aren't really going to wear those shoes with that outfit, are you? Or maybe it's saying, you aren't going to really eat that for breakfast. Look at the mess on your dresser. You are a pig. Maybe it's saying, your stomach is the size of Texas. You have got to get this under control like yesterday. Okay, so get those 2 criticisms down using you. And I want you to know that you're doing really great work. This is a deep dive. But most of you know I'm not really a surface level kind of gal. Why stay on the surface when we can go deep together? If this is feeling harsh and mean, you're doing it right. Remember, this voice is so cruel. You would never say this stuff out loud to other people. And so it might even be hard to write. Just give it your best shot. I'm going to share with you that this morning, I heard my inner judger say during the technological difficulties, you will never get technology right. Oh, it was so loud, right? It was just harping at me, I also heard it even before the technological stuff. I heard it say, you're really going to lead a gathering on self-judgment? That's a little dumb, don't you think? What a bummer of a topic. Who wants to learn about that? Yesterday I was late. I was late to a meeting, and I heard it say, "Once again, you're late." You are never going to be a person who's actually on time. Pretty harsh, right? Even yesterday, I heard it with the blog that I'm going to write with all of this work today, which is going to be nowhere near detailed as what you're getting today. When you come to the gatherings, you get so much more. But I heard it say, your writing skills are subpar. You really have a long ways to go if you ever want to truly be a good writer. So this voice is just harsh, right? Very harsh. So hopefully you have, 4 criticisms or so that start with you, that there's the inner judger and then there's the listener. There's 2 of you. Now the third step I want you to practice is I want you to use 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of the tools that I'm about to share with you. And these tools are how to manage, how to detox, cleanse these judgments. And I want you to just pick one that resonates with you more than the other, and just skip the others that don't. It's going to be really normal and natural for you to just resonate with maybe 1 or 2, okay? So just trust yourself, listen to yourself, which one works best. And as I'm sharing these 3 ways to work with these judgments and how to respond to these judgments, I want you to just share in the chat box what responses you've come up with for yourself in terms of your criticisms and judgments. So share along as we go, and you're welcome to share the responses I offer or share responses that you come up with on your own. Totally up to you. So the first way to respond, cleanse these judgments is I want you to get really sassy. I want you to get humorous and sassy. Okay, bring out that sassy girl. If this doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. There'll be some more tools here. But I really want you to put your sassy hat on. And I want you to imagine maybe the judgment being something like, you're never going to have a body that you like. So the response would be, I'm sorry, I just heard you say that I am never going to have a body I like. Do you have a crystal ball? And you can somehow magically see into the future? Okay, so get really sassy. You're calling it out. You're calling it out. So another example might be, you just really blew it by eating that. Way to go. Back to square one, once again. Okay. So your response might be, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot that I came out of the womb knowing how to eat 100% well, 100% of the time. I totally forgot I was inhuman and I'm a robot. My bad. Okay, so really sassy here. Let's give one more example. Let's use the one about the one that I had this morning, or it was yesterday too. You really think you're going to lead a gathering on self-judgments? That's a little dumb, don't you think? Who wants to learn about that? So the sassy response would be, I'm sorry, did you somehow travel to the homes of every single person who's at this gathering and somehow read their mind about what they think is dumb or what they don't think is dumb? Okay. So those are a few examples of some sassy responses. If I have any sassy responders out there, I'd love to hear in the chat box what you're coming up with. Okay. So the second tool. The second tool is much different than sassy. It's to be compassionate with your self-judgments. I know that sounds a little counterintuitive, but these self-judgments are actually here to protect you. Anything that is emotionally or physically appearing as a threat, we will form a self-judgment around, most likely. You know, an easy example of this might be when we used to live outside. You know, if we went near a lion's den and we almost got eaten, Thank goodness there was a harsh voice that said, you would be an idiot to go back there, right? That judgment is showing us how to, it's trying to help us. It's trying to protect us. So the thing is all these self-judgments are trying to help. They're just misguided, they're misinformed, and they're really hyper-vigilant, right? They're everywhere. They show up everywhere. But there is a strong survival instinct trying to protect you physically and emotionally. So the idea of the compassion is you just see that. You see that part of the judgment. Okay, so let's say that the judgment is, let's use your stomach is the size of Texas. You need to figure this out like yesterday. Okay. A response would be, I know you're really scared and you want me to feel good about my body and my food choices because you want me to feel good about myself so I can be liked, so I can be loved. Another example might be, if you said, you're such a fool for saying that. Couldn't you have said something cooler? A response might be, I know you really care about how others view me, and you want to make sure that I fit in with my tribe. Thanks for chiming in, but I got this. Okay. Let's use the one about the writing skills. What I heard that the criticism, your writing skills are just subpar. You really have a long ways to go before you ever become a good writer. So a response could be, I know you want me to be a good writer, so people will like me. And so I'll receive praise. Who doesn't want that? It'll help me fit in. But I'm just beginning, so I'll take it from here. So since these judgments are trying to protect us, compassion is one way to respond. There's no right or wrong way to respond. Just again, pick one that's really resonating with you. Okay? Now, if you want help responding to your judgments in a sassy way or a compassionate way, please enter into the chat box. Use us as resources, okay? Use me and use the other fellow women. We have over 20 people on today who could help you with this. So, just know that you're not alone in this. Like I said, this is a thread that runs through all of our lives. Okay, we're in this together. Okay. So good. I see some people are putting some things in the chat box. Good. I'll read those in just a minute. I'm going to offer up the third tool. Keep working with these. We have get sassy and humorous, and then we have be compassionate. Okay. The third and final way to respond to the judgmental voice is to tell it to leave. Tell it it's not welcome here. So if it's saying, you're not really going to eat that for breakfast, are you? You might say something like, shh, I'm eating right now, and it's really disruptive when you're barking judgments while I'm trying to enjoy my food. Take a hike, would ya? Maybe the criticism judgment is, there you go. You've failed again, just like you always do. So harsh. So the response might be, you know what? No one is allowed to speak to me that way. Go pick on someone your own size. Okay. That can be a good one just in general. No one is allowed to speak to me that way. Okay. So the third and final example that I'd like to give for this asking it to take a hike tool is, let's do, well, it looks like you're off track again. The weight is back. What do you have to say for yourself? So a response might be, you know what? I am learning and I am trying, and it would be much better for me if you went across the street to the neighbor's house and bugged them. That would work much better for me. So setting that boundary. This is all about setting boundaries with your judgmental voice. Otherwise, it will drive your ship into comfort eating. So continue to share in the chat boxes what you're coming up with. Guys, these judgments happen so quick in our brain. Depending on where we are in this work, most of us don't even know what's happening. It's just happening so quickly. We have a judgment, then we have a feeling from that judgment, and then we have a behavior associated with that judgment. It can happen so lightning fast. So we're slowing this down, okay? And we're breaking it up. And this takes practice. This takes practice, right? It's that neurological system that's just lightning quick, okay? It takes practice to change our neurology and to change our thinking. But it is absolutely possible. I mean, if there's one thing that science is showing us is that we can change the way that we think and we can change the way that we feel. So in our step-by-step process, we have number 1, name the judgment. Number 2, detach from the judgment. Make it a you statement. And then pick 1 or 2 of the 3 tools that I've shared today and how to manage or respond to the judgment. The first one is you get sassy, you get humorous, right? The second one is to be compassionate. Maybe consider what the judgment is trying to protect, how it's trying to help. Number 3 is tell it to take a hike, tell it to get out of here, okay? So let's go to the chat box and see what people have. Okay, good. So if you're struggling with this, please ask for help. Please come in, just share what your judgment is, and let's help you with a response, okay? And this topic is very personal and private. And I knew that not a lot of people would maybe want to share here, and that's okay. I still really wanted to make this a topic, right? I want to make it, I want to do deep dives with you guys. So I'm hearing, I like this. I can get sarcastic using in defense for my inner critic. Seems like it would be a natural fit for me. Yeah, I can connect with the compassionate one. Great. You're not good enough. Oh, well, please show me how to be a bug-free robot. I'm human doing the best I can with what I've got. Yeah, exactly. You're so disgusting. Good. The response is, no one is allowed to talk to me that way. No one, guys, really, absolutely no one is allowed to speak to you this way. Set that boundary. Really nice work. And then there's a response. This isn't helping me. Stop. Okay, good, guys. Love it. All right. So we have about 3 or 4 more minutes of information, and then we'll move into questions. And the final thing that I would love to cover today is the place where we house so much of our self-judgments is around our body. I couldn't not lead this topic without bringing up our body. This is where we house so much of our self-judgment. Now, this topic requires an entire online gathering in itself, in its own right. You know, it's really its own course, its own body of work, but I couldn't not mention here. Because we're so good at judging our bodies, being cruel to our bodies, being hateful, abusive, just flat out not liking our bodies. But here's the thing, guys, we don't take care of the things that we don't like. We take care of the things that we love and respect. We take care of the things we love and respect. We don't take care of the things we like. We ignore the things we don't like. We avoid them. We get angry at them. We blame them. So what I want you to do is carefully listen to a handful of words that I'm about to say, and I'd really like for you to pick one. one word that you can focus on this week when it comes to relating to your body. Okay, so just maybe really listen up here. Which word resonates the most and how you would like to take a step in relating to your body in not such a judgmental way. So the first word is forgiveness. Trust. Kindness. Respect. Love. Circle one word that resonates with you the most right now. Forgiveness, trust, kindness, respect, and love. And with this word in mind, what's one thing you can do every day? Maybe something that lasts 2 minutes a day to help you relate to your body this week, just this week. One thing you can do every day this week that maybe lasts just even 2 minutes that you can do to relate to your body either in a forgiving way, a more trusting way, a kind way, a respectful way, more of a loving way. I'd love to hear in the chat box what you come up with. Share, share, share. When we share, we make it more real. And when we share, we make it more real and we're more likely to do it. And then when we're more likely to do it, we actually really start changing. So sharing is really powerful. Love to hear from you in the chat box. Now is also a really good time to ask any questions. We did a really deep dive today, lots of information. Okay, you've got a lot of information today, so let it marinate, let it stick with you. Shoot me an email if you have any other questions about this. You might have questions that come up later this week, and that's so normal. The door is open. If you've attended this gathering, you are more than welcome to shoot me an email and ask for continued support or schedule a 20-minute consultation, and let's keep working on this together. Okay, I am so committed to you feeling better, to feeling more peace. That is what I'm absolutely committed to. So do not be shy. You are not a pest. Do not let judgments hold you back. Okay? And let's hear from some people. So I hear that my chat box. I just saw Terry wrote kindness, and then my chat box went blank. That's what it did last time. It's like it gets tired or something. Yeah, so kindness. What does that mean? That means sufficient sleep, hydrate, and water. Scented lotion. Love it. Lotion is a perfect way to kind of just honor our body. Yeah. Take a minute each day to thank my body for all that it does for me. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. Look at myself and recognize all I have accomplished physically, emotionally, working with you, Mackenzie. Yeah, great. Thanks, Casey. Recognize that it's a journey and it isn't about perfection, but about being mindful and present, and that I'm doing just fine. Yeah. Oh, Casey, awesome. I just love that. Forgiveness is a word. Sonia is going to choose forgiveness. Taking time to let go of those little mistakes and setbacks and look at the big picture. Yes, yes. How we get so fixated. What we focus on becomes our whole world. And we get so fixated on those little mistakes. So stepping back, I think that's so wonderful. Wondering if there's any other questions about applying this material. I know we did kind of a workshop mode, so we did a lot kind of on our way, throughout the day. So there may or may not be any questions. Like I said, it's an open door. moving forward. So it doesn't just have to be today. Yeah. Oh, I saw Donica says full body lotion treatment before bed. Good. For some reason, I missed that. Good. I love that. So I'll just stay on for a few more minutes. If there's any other questions, I want to thank everyone for your time today. I want to thank everyone for this deep dive. You know, this is really brave work. It's very real work, and a lot can come up from it. So I really want you to applaud yourself. I want you to maybe, if you can, do something after this to reward yourself for doing this deep dive work, okay? It's not about being judgmental of yourself because you have judgments. We all have judgments, you know, so that 1-2 punch, oh, it is a doozy. So be kind to yourself today for coming here and doing this work. Okay, I hear that I'll respect my body by eating healthy in the evenings. Love that goal. Very specific. Wonderful. Okay. So no questions. Either I did a really, really, really good job teaching, or you guys are too concerned to ask questions. Okay. Anybody have any ideas on what they'd like for future gatherings? I'd love to hear that too. And it's a beautiful day in Seattle, so I hope everyone has a really, really, really wonderful day. Sending you so many hugs through the computer screen. Keep up all the great work. And I really appreciate you spending time with me today. So I'm going to go ahead and get off of camera, but I will hang out in the chat box if there's something else that you'd like to cover today. Good. Sounds like people are saying thank you. This was really great. You did a great job. Thanks. This is great. Fantastic gathering. Thanks. Good. Good. I'm glad, you guys. I'm glad it was helpful. Wonderful. All right, everybody. We will see you at the next gathering, and I'll be around for a few minutes more on the chat box. Have a wonderful day. Happy Saturday, everyone. Bye-bye.